Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's a dog with you on a Monday, the 14th of January, 2019. Welcome to another edition of Weber This Week. A good friend of mine is in the studio. We usually have him come in and do my show every 5 to 6 months. We're right on schedule. He was just telling me before airtime, the last time he was in the studio, it was hot in here. Today it's chilly. Jimmy Seneca, pay the gas and electric, baby. Let's get some heat. It's Weber This Week. Jim Spina is my special guest. We're talking Clemson. We're talking football. We're talking SU basketball. And a whole lot more. Welcome. Well, a pleasant good afternoon, everybody. It's a chilly dog here on a Monday the 14th. I guess it's better than a snowstorm, so I'll take that. You always can put the Afghan around you. I think we may need to get Afghans next time Jim's in, because it's a little chilly in the studio today. Hey, listen, it's good to have Jim along. Jim, thanks for coming in. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of sports topics. I know you're wearing the Clemson garb, which I knew you would. You have to be extremely thrilled. I'm sure not even you, a diehard Clemson fan, and I want to send out kudos to my good friend Sammy Cosentino in Geneva, who's a diehard Clemson fan. He lives and dies the Clemson Tigers and Dabo Sweeney. But even you, Jimmy, could not have envisioned a 28-point differential in that score.
I certainly didn't. I really thought they had a good chance. I mean, I thought they could play with them. When I talked to other friends, a good friend of mine is a Bama fan, and I thought that Bama had maybe one fewer hole than Clemson did with the defensive backfield. But I guess we didn't really understand how good Trevor Lawrence really was.
A freshman kid, and that long, shaggy hair. Think he's going to make some money on the advertising side of it? He's going to make some cash. You won't do it now in college, but when he gets out of there, he'll be heading there.
He just turned 19 in October.
Yeah.
And that freshman receiver, Justin Ross, was, and being from Alabama, was a nice little shot to them. But yeah, I was extremely pleased, and it's nice to see it. I think everybody likes to see the change and watch Alabama drop the peg a little bit, but they'll be back.
You look at Clemson, though. They got a very, phenomenal program, just in the same breath as Alabama. Obviously, as you know, Clemson, better than most people. Clemson gets the choice of the marketplace in contention with Alabama. I think Clemson's a tad ahead of them now. And we talk about 3 stars, 4 stars, and 5 stars. Well, Clemson gets a boatload of 5 stars. So does Saban at Alabama, and Georgia is starting to get a few, not a few, but quite a few. When you have the best college athletes, or you have the best kids in high school, I should say, across the country and around the world, that are the very finest at their specialty of whatever position they're playing, and they choose the Clemsons and the Alabamas, and they continue to bring in the best of the best, it's hard to compete. I mean, really, if you think about it, there's about 3 or 4 teams, maybe 5 that you can look at that get the best. Right. I mean, I don't know if that's going to ever change, to be honest with you.
No, I don't think it will. But you got to watch different programs. You watch Clemson went from a regional powerhouse to a national powerhouse. Right now, they're recruiting the number 1 quarterback out of California, who's I don't know if he's got Hawaiian ancestry. His name's Ukulele. And he's coming. It looks like he's favored to come to Clemson. He's going to leave California to go east. Think about that. That's the change. That's what Dabo's brought to Clemson. So other programs can do that. Dabo said that in his victory speech, that if little old Clemson can do it, so can anybody. And he's right, because he came in there. He's been there for 10 years now, and he just changed the whole. He changed the entire climate of that school, and now it's a national power. But it wasn't. It was just a regional power for years.
And I must confess, and Jim knows, I picked on, Mr. Babers out of Syracuse during his football program, taking shots at him, wondering if he was really the answer at SU. It's hard for me I have to eat crow on that, and I made comments before Jim came back on the show, but I may have misunderstood and misguided myself, thinking that Babers wasn't the answer. You have to give credit where credit is due, and as much as I hate to eat crow on the show, and by the way, this is my 50th year of broadcasting. It's hard to believe. I started late 69. I don't know if Jim was born back then.
I was.
But way back, I started doing some tapes for WSFW. Then I began doing a lot more work for them in 1970. But 69, they were doing tapes on my show, or I was creating a tape. And the only people that would hear them were cows at 6 in the morning. But this is 1969, you figure the math to 2019, so it's pretty amazing that I've made it this far and I'm still standing or sitting down. But you think about Babers and Syracuse University. I always looked at him as a cheerleader, but you really have to think about it. He probably brings more, stamina and more ability to compete on a weekly basis. And if you think about SU football too, a kid they're going to miss big time is Dungy, who's the warrior. Mm-hmm. He sort of reminds me of Josh Allen of the Bills. He used to run up and down the field, got away with it most of the time, but a couple of times he got injured and had to sit out a few weeks. And I'm still convinced that Josh Allen's got to cut that out, run around the NFL, Jim, because, he's fast. He's a big kid from Wyoming, but guess what? There's a bigger linebacker that's about 20 pounds bigger than you are, and maybe a couple of split seconds slower than you are, but if he gets you in the right spot, you're done.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
And I got a real concern about Josh Allen and the Bills, but back on Syracuse, give credit where credit is due. Dungy now leaves school, finally graduating. The kid there, outstanding player. We're interested to see if that progression continues at Syracuse.
Yeah, I think that's what Babers has done best is he's brought a different kind of athlete to Syracuse, which people have been saying for years that Syracuse being on the disadvantage of the Northeast, they needed to get that multi-athletic kid that could maybe play a couple positions and find a quarterback who could run his offense. All reports are that DeFito, the kid coming in, might be able to run it better than Dungy did, and if that's the case,
I hardly think he's going to be a run-up and down the field like
no,
Dungy.
He's not. He's going to be a check down, throw the ball around, and that's what Dungy wants, or that's what Babers wants, anyways. And so it'll be interesting to see. His best recruiting class at Syracuse in probably 20 years, and so they're stepping up. And look how close they came to knocking off Clemson. I mean, they had them.
That's right. They
literally had them.
Yeah.
They just couldn't stop the run for about 4 or 5 minutes late in that game, but they had them in a position where they could have really ruined their season. So
I agree. Hey, by the way, before we go back talking sports, kudos to you. You had a big celebration last year. You had one of your daughters getting married down south, and I remember you posted like 165 pictures. It was great. It looked like you and the wife were having a good time, and everybody in the family was enjoying it. So tell us a little about that. It was quite an event.
We did. We had a great time. My youngest daughter and her now husband are both from here in Waterloo. They moved to Charlotte a few years ago, and they got married in a little town called Southport, North Carolina. It's along the Cape Fear River between Myrtle Beach and Wilmington, and my daughter always wanted to get married there from a movie, Safe Haven. There's a movie that's out that was set there, and we had the time of our lives, and they've been together 11 years, so the wedding was really a formality, I think, but a formality of my losing my money, but a formality. And so that was a great time, and thank you for bringing that up. And they're both doing well and having fun. And my oldest daughter got engaged over the weekend, so now we're going to get to do it all over again.
Same location?
No, they're coming. She seems to think she's coming home to get married, which is be nice. So they'll be getting married hopefully summer of 2020, somewhere up here in the beautiful Finger Lakes.
And a lot of choices up in Seneca Falls, in this area.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes.
That's right.
We're looking forward to it, though. Thank you for bringing it.
Yeah, that's all right. It was a great thing. And, I think I know the recreation director. You might be able to get a cheap price on, having some of the festivities there. That'd be you.
We could make it work.
Yeah, I know you could.
No, I don't think they'll necessarily want that.
I know. Well, congratulations.
Thank
it's
you.
Awesome. We're talking Syracuse. We're talking Clemson. We got a lot more to talk about. You know what? Jimmy, we certainly got to talk about the greatest day for football watching happens to be next Sunday. People ask me, why do I always bring this up every year on the show, and people ask me, why do you say that? Because you think about it. Two games. One starts about 3:45. The other one starts around 7. And game number 1 is going to have the Saints against the Rams. Yep. Game number 2 is going to pit the Kansas City Chiefs against the Tom Brady New England Patriots. The winners of those games, Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta, coming up on February the 3rd. It doesn't get any better than that because the winner moves on to the most spectacular game of the year for football, and the loser packs it home, and nobody ever remembers they made the championship conference games.
No.
It's pretty scary. So I always plead out with the ladies and the girlfriends and the wives and the moms and everybody, if you're not into football and you want your family to have a hot dog roast outside with no TV or something like that, if it could be your son or daughter or your husband or your wife. I've got a lot of friends that, I know you do too, that don't follow football. The wives do, but maybe the husband doesn't, or the boyfriend does and the girlfriend doesn't. It's just a day of celebration. So whoever gets turned on by this weekend, Sunday, I urge you to give them some free space and let them enjoy it, because there's nothing quite like it in my mind.
There's 3 games left.
That's right. You cannot
three
beat
games
it.
left. So.
By the way, just so that you know, as far as where we're going with this, of course, the Saints taking on the Rams in New Orleans. It's 3.5-point favored by the Saints against the Rams. That game will go off around 3:50, 3:55 in that vicinity. And, of course, I believe that's going to be covered by Fox. And then, of course, the 6:40 game or 6:50 game, depending on the time span. It's the Chiefs at home, and Jim pointed out a weatherman fact. It's supposed to be, what, 2 or 3 above?
Yep.
That's going to be nice weather to play football in. But you got to love those Chiefs fans, you know.
Oh, they'll be into it.
They will. Think they might have a couple of beers, you think?
Especially being a late game. Can you imagine how lubed up they're going to be?
Oh, yeah. And the Chiefs favored by 3 over Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. You can't say New England Patriots without Tom Brady. And I found it interesting. A lot of people have criticized the Patriots for having a blasé year. Well, they only won it again, the AFC East. They've made the conference now, 8 or 9 years in a row? 8 in a row. And I don't know, they think that Brady and the Pats aren't as good as they used to be. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. They've made the AFC Championship yet again. Now they are 3-point underdogs, and they were picking on Brady during the news conferences after their win over the hapless Chargers, who by the way, Rivers is 0-8 now against Brady. Head up. And Brady says, a lot of teams think we suck. A lot of people think we suck. We just try to win games. And I love his attitude, you know. I think it's the mystique of Tom Brady that just inspires me. And I see this guy, and I know, you know, you support, I'm sure you follow the Bills, and some of your friends do, and a lot of people follow the Bills. But the Bills organization, the Bills fan base will throw the biggest party in the history of mankind when Tom Brady retires. That will happen because every year when the Bills go to training camp, and New England and the rest of the AFC teams, Miami and all the Jets and those teams, they look up and they know there's no way in heck that they're going to get the number 1 spot leading the AFC East. Right. There's no way. Yep. And look at the past years. They start off 0-2 or 1-3. The Pats are in trouble. Then all of a sudden they ring 5 or 6 in a row. You know, right. It's amazing. So I know the Bills, and I know I take shots at them when I can, but I always have fun picking on them. I got to tell you something. He's going to retire sooner or later. I think he might try to go another year or 2. But when he retires, my God, they're going to be the biggest Buffalo Bills party in the history of parties.
There'll be ticker tape parade in
Buffalo. There will be.
It'll be like they won the Super Bowl.
Finally, we can't not handle the fact that we can play New England without Tom Brady at quarterback. It's pretty scary.
You got to give it to the guy. He's something.
I mean, and you can argue all you want, and I know Jim and myself can sit at a bar and have a beer with friends who disagree with us. But I got to tell you something. Tom Brady, statistically, if he doesn't go down as the greatest quarterback ever, statistically, okay, think about it. Statistically, I don't know how anybody can take the other side of the argument. Really, if you think about his Super Bowls, like 5 MVPs, I mean, amazing. I mean, you look at his record and his passing yardage and his touchdowns, there's no comparison. And then if you really hate the Patriots, and I know a lot of Buffalo Bills fans hate the Patriots. They hate Belichick. They call him a cheater. All right, I'm buying that. He maybe did some things that weren't classy. But if he's not going down in history of the NFL, and you're a lot younger than I, Jim, and I'm sure you'll live longer than I will, but my fact is he's got to be ranked as probably the greatest coach ever, statistically.
Yeah.
I mean, how are you going to fight those arguments? I don't know how you do.
I don't know how you fight the Brady argument, because he's had one great receiver. He had Moss the 1 year, right?
Yeah.
Name a great receiver other than that, a great one. I mean, he had a lot of good ones, but a great one. And name the great running back he's had.
I know.
It's on him. I mean, his best player he's ever been matched with is Gronk.
Yeah.
Offensively.
Yeah.
And Moss. Outside of that, and he's done this how long,
Forever.
And he's carried that team.
Yeah.
It's
the mystique of Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And I love it with his chip on his shoulder this weekend. Like, hey, Everybody thinks we suck, so we're just trying to win games. That's all they can.
It's unbelievable.
Hey, it's Weber this week on a Monday. Hope you're having a good time checking us out. Jim Spina is my good friend, longtime friend, and he's always like to have him come in every 4 to 6 months and talk sports, and he's here today. We're going to take our commercial break, pay homage to the great sponsors that make this show possible. When we come back on the other side, we got more to talk about. Resort and Casino has something for everyone. 2,000 slot machines and 99 gaming tables. The Vine, featuring top national music and comedy acts. The dining options. The Great Portico by Fabio Viviani. The Farmers Market Buffet, the Social Cafe and Bar. And the 14,000 square foot European style spa. Del Lago offers massages, body treatments, and facials, plus a full-service salon. Visit DelLagoResort.com for more information.
Cayuga Lake National Bank, offices in Union Springs and Aurora, a fine sponsor of this show for over 30 years. DA Liquor on Britt Street in Seneca Falls. Amy Padula and her team will find the right spirit for you every time. When you stop in, tell Amy the dog sent you. The Omen Theater on William Street in Lyons. See what's playing this week at omentheater.com. Located off New York State Thruway Exit 41, the McGee Diner has earned their reputation as a popular family restaurant, serving country fresh home-cooked meals daily. Stop in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and check out their menu at mcgeediner.com. The Child Advocacy Center of the Finger Lakes is a child-friendly location where allegations of physical or sexual abuse are responded to by a multidisciplinary team of professionals. The team works together to conduct a thorough investigation and to provide necessary support services to children and their non-offending caregivers with a goal of minimizing further trauma to a child. Seneca Metals is an award-winning company that has earned a reputation of going above and beyond to protect the environment and support their community. As an EPA inspector once said, their operation is head and shoulders above the rest. And the Newark Pilots of the Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball League, a minor league team with a major league ballpark. Season ticket packages available at NewarkPilots.com. And the Wilson Press in Seneca Falls. My good pal Rich Rickey and his team can handle all of your printing and mailing needs. Visit them online at wpress.com.
And by the way, we just added a new sponsor beginning of January. Our good friends out at Bostrom Farms out in Stanley on Routes 5 and 20. Check out this commercial ad. Farms is a butcher shop focused on providing fresh local meat to the Finger Lakes region. The retail store is located on Routes 5 and 20 in Stanley. They offer a full range of pork, beef, and chicken products that you can feel real good about. Buying food for your family should be fun. At Bostrom Farms, we put the fun and trust back into buying meat. And by the way, get a chance to get out there. You will be amazed at the phenomenal operation they have out at Bostrom Farms. I want to thank Kevin and Jill for coming on as a sponsor starting in January this year. Always great to have new people join our show. But again, if you like meat, pork, chicken, you can name it. They got it in any size you want. Hey, by the way, before I get back to Jim, we want to talk about some SU basketball. Big game tonight. Well, it's a big game. It's going to be on ESPN at 7. How big the game will be, Jim will have some comments, I'm sure. Just as far as upcoming guests, we've been trying to get this gentleman on my show for, I'm going to say, at least 2 months, maybe 3. Mark Giuliano, the Executive Vice President of Del Lago. He's the head man. He's been around, I believe, at Del Lago, maybe, I'm going to guess maybe 6 months already. It seems weird how time flies. But he's due in here next week to talk about his career and what he's thinking about Del Lago at this point. A lot of articles being written about Del Lago. talking about debt, talking about whether or not, of course, the Moody's report. That's all been all over the local news and newspapers. Hopefully, Mark Giuliano will be arriving next week. We'll keep you posted. He's a busy guy, so if he has to go to a meeting last second, I get it, understand it, but we got him circled in. Let's hope he gets here. Mark Giuliano, my guest, hopefully next week on the Weber Show. Of course, airtime around 3 o'clock is normal. By the way, the 28th, I met a young man over at Tops a week or so ago, and seemed like a very nice, engaging young guy. And I was talking to him, and I said, "What are you doing? Do you work here?" He said, "Yeah, I work here part-time. But my goal is to become a owner of a food truck. Wants to go on the road with a food truck."
I know the young man. Yeah.
You know him?
Yes.
And his name is Doug Bates. Yep. Doug Bates, his name is. And I gave him my card. I said, "I'd love to have you come on my show and talk about your dream." And everybody has a dream in this world. Some come to work out, some don't. But it's not because of lack of effort, right, Jim?
No.
So his name is Doug Bates, and I'm going to be contacting him. We circled him for the 28th, and of course we realize he works part-time at Tops. So if he can't come in to do my show, I get it. But we will be trying to track him down to see if he'd come in. And a friend of ours who we want to spend a couple minutes talking about, Sue Floretti. Is she a girl or is she a good friend? I've known Sue for decades. First woman police officer to be hired in Seneca Falls by the fearless Fred Capozzi, big Yankee fan. Fred had the brains to hire Sue, and of course now she reports under the leadership of Stu Peenstra, the chief of police of the town of Seneca Falls. But as Jim Spina certainly knows full well, that Sue is retiring on the 30th of this month. Jim, in quick comments, nothing's like her. She's a great person.
She is going to be missed. She's one of those regular police officers that show up at the community center and pop in, and she knows everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, she really does. And I know on behalf of all of our staff, we wish her nothing but the best, and hope she knows we'll miss her.
Oh, I know. And Sue, I hope to have her on my show the day after the Super Bowl. I talked to her, and she said she'd love to come on. She was a little bit nervous. I wouldn't pick on her too much because I go way back with Sue. But we hopefully will have her on the 4th of February. That's still up in the air because she had a commitment. She wasn't sure about whether she could make it or not. If she don't come in on the 4th, we'll definitely have her on as soon as I can get her on. And then on the 11th, a young lady who I was always impressed with for Seneca County, working for the county, Melissa Taylor, emergency management. Melissa was here, did a great job. They left. A lot of discussion on why she left, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to get to some of that hopefully when she comes on. She is scheduled to come on and committed to come on my show on the 11th of February. So a lot of good guests scheduled up in the next several weeks. And, of course, we'll be letting you know more and more names. Well, Jimmy, let's go from talking about people coming on about the fact of the weirdness of the SU basketball program. I know Jimmy Senecropi's probably rubbing his hair. He's got some gray hairs now, not as much as I do, but he's a big SU guy, as you know. They look horrible some nights. They look great some other nights. Can't figure them out. And Boeheim can't figure them out.
Bipolar. They really are.
They really are.
They play very well, and then they play poorly. And I didn't watch much of Saturday. A few snippets here or there had things going on. But by all indications, everybody talks about it. That's the worst they've seen them play in a long time.
Losing by 14 to Georgia Tech, not exactly a national powerhouse at the Dome.
Yeah, the worst offensive team in the ACC.
Yeah.
Beat them by 14.
Yeah, 14. And Syracuse was favored per Vegas by 10.
Yeah, and that's the problem. You always could count on Syracuse playing defense, even if they don't shoot it well. But they didn't play defense. It was and now they've got Duke tonight. Look out.
Tonight it's going to be interesting, Jim. As you know, the Vegas guys have the line set on every sport possible, and they have Syracuse a 17-point underdog. 17. To me, that means that Zion Williamson, the phenomenal, amazing player for Duke. Of course, as you all know, Duke has probably got one of their best recruiting classes ever in Coach K's illustrious career. But the line was opening at 17 this morning, and I saw the line. I said, oh, my God, Zion Williamson must be going to play. Of course, Zion, if you missed it, he got poked in the eye in the Florida State game. At double vision, it's cleared up according to Coach K, and I'd be shocked if he doesn't play, Jim. But that means to me the line has to be that he's going to be teeing it up.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
I'm guessing, but I said to you before the show, I'm taking Syracuse in 17.
Yeah, it's an amazing amount of points.
I can't imagine they get beat by more than that, but
they are quite the juggernaut when they get going, and you want to run, they'll run with you, up and down the court.
They'll beg you to.
Yeah, it's scary. They got. You mentioned earlier they had top 3 that are expected to be first-round draft choices.
Yeah, they could be. There's people say they'll be 3 of the top 5.
It's amazing.
Taken.
That's pretty scary.
It's unbelievable.
You think about it, it's kind of weird. Hey, let's go back to football for a second. In one of the playoff games yesterday, I believe it was the Patriot game, a woman finally got an offering to be hired and to work. And you know what I loved about it? Didn't hear about it.
No, which means she must have done a very good job. Yeah.
And I got to get your opinion. There's been a couple of tackles. It seems like every game I see tackles, and they're calling roughing the quarterback. Have we got to the point where we're going to, when you were a kid, get up the flags and say flag football?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I can't imagine, even when we played, all some of those fouls were just ignored it.
Right.
Now on the NFL level, the highest level, you just get anywhere near. I saw somebody got close up to that.
I saw a Patriot kid, a big guy, come in and grab Rivers by the legs.
Yeah.
Hard tackle, but it wasn't late. And he not slammed him, but he pushed him hard down, and they threw the flag. I couldn't believe that. I said, what's construed as a tackle anymore? What's considered as a tackle?
I understand it too. They have to protect the quarterbacks because it's a quarterback-driven league, obviously. But somewhere they've got to get some consistency on what is and what isn't. If that's going to be a foul, then make it a foul every time, because they don't. Sometimes you'll see it, sometimes not. I prefer them to protect the quarterbacks a little less, but I get it. It's a quarterback-driven league.
And by the way, I'm getting more at ease with the pass reception.
Yeah.
Now I get that. The ball can bob a little bit, but then we have a new term, full recovery of the football. I don't get that, but I don't understand it, but maybe you do.
Oh, I don't think I understand it, but I like it better. I think it's a little easier for a fan to understand why that was a catch now or why it wasn't. At least you can see it a little bit more, and they've loosened it up a little bit.
All right, let's put you on the spot. You're always good for some predictions. We have the Saints against the Rams. I'll give you first opportunity because you're my guest. Who are you picking?
Pulling for the Rams. I don't think they can do it in New Orleans, though. New Orleans seems to be a team. After my Vikings beat them last year with the miracle, the Saints have really focused. I'll pull for the Rams, but I like the Saints.
And I'm gonna really put the lock on you because I'm gonna agree with you. I like the Rams too, but I also think New Orleans at home. The line, of course, is only 3.5 point favorite. The Saints are, so I'm gonna go with the Saints. So we both like the Saints. And then the second game, the Chiefs at home, and that's gonna be a wild place, man. Yeah. That's all you're gonna see all day. All right, give it to us. Chiefs against the Pats, and Chiefs are favored by 3.
Not picking against Tom Brady.
Not
in 2 degrees either. He's used to that. Mahomes really first situation there. Probably pulling for the Chiefs, but I think Brady gets it done.
Weber and Spina are going to agree on both predictions. Wow. Now that is something else. I like the Pats because I think the mystique of Brady against Mahomes might be a difference, and I don't think he'll be intimidated with the crowd.
No,
I think he has been to a lot of these games where it's going to be crucial and it's going to be hectic and it's going to the temperature is going to rise to 120 degrees, and maybe Mahomes can handle it, maybe he can't. But Brady's been there, done that.
Yeah.
And it's weird. Weber and Spina agree on 2 picks. So our picks, just to recapture you, our pick is we're going with the Saints at home to beat the Rams in a good one, and we're picking the Pats on the road to beat the Chiefs. That would mean, obviously, a Saints-Pats Super Bowl.
So bet the other way.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, if the Pats win against the Chiefs, I'm still going to ride with them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm not getting off that bandwagon. And, oh, by the way, well, it's fair for both teams. No weather conditions in Atlanta.
Right.
In a dome.
And 2, if our prediction comes true, 2 of the great quarterbacks going at it. It would really be interesting with Breeze and and Brady.
Yeah.
Really, really, really great game.
It will be. Well, listen, we've chewed on a lot of things. I appreciate you carving out 30 minutes to join the dog. And to you and the family, good luck to you, and have a great 2019, and we'll have you come back down the road.
I would love to. Thanks for having me, and good luck to you and your gang, too.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks.
All right, Jim Spina, my special guest, longtime buddy, carves out some time to join us. We can chit-chat about some important sports topics. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a great week. It's supposed to be decent, I guess. No major storm that I'm hearing so far. So, it'll be a little chilly. Wear that extra set of earmuffs, baby, because when I take these off, I'm putting on my real earmuffs. For Jim Spina and my producer, Nate Cornett, take care, everybody. It's a dog bidding you farewell. Enjoy your week.